I just got done doing a homeowner install pressurized septic system. When I started this, I had really no experience doing this specifically, a little bit of mechanical experience, but other than that, just figuring out the drawing and a lot of YouTubing. One thing I did notice when I went to YouTube is there really wasn't just like a basic video on the whole overview of the system, because for me that would have helped me better understand the overall goal I was trying to get to. So I'm going to provide that video now that I'm done. So from here, it would tie into the house, which it's not quite ready yet there. We got this clean out, and then it goes over to the first tank. Like I said, this is a pressurized system, so there's 2 tanks. Here I got some plumbing, and then over there's that pipe assembly that goes to the other side. There's a hole through the concrete. I went to our local precast company for the 2 tanks. They're 1,250 gallon tanks. And for just about everything else, I got a HD Fowler. I know that's like a chain company, so you might have one near you if you need some septic or some other septic supply store. Then we got that other plumbing going there. And then this is actually septic clean out. I'm supposed to take this out every about 6 months and spin it around and use the hose and clean it out. So maybe I'll get the husband to do that job. From there, it goes to some more piping. I believe that's 4-inch piping. Over to the inlet side of my pressure tank. Just drops down. Right now I have water in there because I was getting it ready for testing and making sure everything works properly. There's a big void that goes over to the other half the tank. This is where I have my pump. On a non-pressurized system, you won't have a pump. It'll just go down to the drain field. For this one, we have the pump, and then it comes up through some plumbing. This is an anti-siphon valve, which before all this, I had no idea what that is. But basically, it's kind of like a little check valve. I can push it in, but it won't let any water go out that way. And what it does is when it's seeing suction this way, it'll open and cause an interruption in the siphon, because otherwise, once you get fluid in a pipe or any kind of pipe, flexible hose or anything like that, and you have it going downhill and there's no air in the system, it will completely empty this tank out. And the reason we don't want that is because that submersible pump down there wants to stay in the water. If you run it dry, you'll get premature failure. So the other thing, I have the shroud around that pump just in case there is a low level. That'll keep an adequate amount of water around it. Just a 5-gallon bucket. There's a bunch of holes about 18 inches up as per my designer's instructions. Right here, I have a threaded union, so I can take it apart right here. If my pump ever goes bad, it'd be very easy to pull out. I also did myself a little favor in the future. I tied a rope to the handle of the pump, so that'll kind of help pull it up and out if I ever need to pull it out and save it. Next, we got this service valve here. It's just a ball valve. And then it goes through the riser material here. Have a grommet. Forgot this part here. And then right here we have the float switch tower. So that is my high level switch. If I get water or other material up to that point and it goes off, it could indicate that either my timer settings aren't adequate enough or my pump failed and I need to address it. The next one down that's kind of sideways right there, that's just my regular, I would say on off, but it doesn't really turn it on or shut it off. Well, it would override the system and shut it off, but it doesn't turn it on, which I found out. That one down there that's facing up, that is a spare float. It's called a redundant float. And in case that middle float there has some kind of a failure where it stops working, that float down there would get my pump to turn off as well. And those cords are just routed up here into this weatherproof box and then going through that conduit over to this guy over here. So this I also got as part of my kit from H.D. Fowler. It was very daunting to me, but I had some help with my father-in-law, who's very experienced in the electrical world. So basically one thing I want to touch on, this timer here, it's kind of funky. So the on time, it's 10 times 0.2. So it'll be on for 2 minutes and then it'll be off for 1 times 0.6. So 6 hours. The pump, I don't know exactly how many gallons per minute it runs, but it's a lot. So you don't really want it running a whole bunch of times or running for very long because it could tend to, bring it down to the lower levels. But if it does, then the floats will cause it to shut off. So try to get everything labeled. They had everything pretty well labeled here. So these 3 wires are from the float switches. We wired them in where they're supposed to go. So you'll see like high level alarm, low level cutoff, and then redundant down there. I think that's pretty much it for this. Although we got the power for the alarm and stuff itself. And then we've got the power that connects up here, and then it goes out to the outlet, which feeds the pump. So the way that works is I'm going to switch this over to hand, and you'll see this move. So that's basically how that works there. All right, next I'm going to walk down to the drain field, which is about 120 feet away. We had better soil down at this end, and it was also a spot where we're not going to be driving around. So it's just kind of a little clearing out in the middle of the woods. Another word of wisdom that I've heard from a couple other friends who did this is don't put your burn barrel or whatever else over here, because you will melt the plastic. We did an infiltrator system. We had our own reasons, but you can also do gravel and cloth. So now that we're down here, this is the main feeder line. I've got another threaded union, a ball valve, so if I ever need to take things apart, makes it a little bit easier. I'll have to get a enclosure for that too before we bury it. And then it goes to a T. We have 6 runs in this system, so there's 6 ball valves for each run. You'll notice that they're not fully open or closed. They're adjusted so that down there all the squirt distances are about the same. Okay. These runs are about 67 feet. They're a little bit longer to accommodate making it to the manifold and everything like that. And then I believe every so many, I want to say it's like 18 inches. Every 18 inches I have like an 1/8 inch drilled hole. If you guys are doing this, you'll probably have to work with a septic designer, and they'll give you the paperwork that gives you that specification, how many holes and how far apart they need to be. Okay, so right here, I'm ready for my final inspection, which oftentimes they'll have you drill a cap or drill a hole in your cap to this is not glued in, although it's giving me a hard time now. And then that way, when they turn the system on, they can see the squirt distance coming out of each one to make sure it's about equal. Once the test is done, I'm gonna then glue this in here. And I have it super long because I don't exactly know how much fill dirt is gonna go on top. So once we're done filling it in, I'll bring it to about grade level, cut it a little bit, and then I'll glue this on there. Put the cap back on. I'll do that for each 6 of the runs. And then right here, this is just a 4-inch sewer pipe, and it goes down to a 4-inch T. And that just ensures that it can't come out of here. Other than the spider, this is just my inspection port. So if something's going on down there, I can see like if the level's really high or if I have nothing coming out, but you know, my system's clogged or something like that. I can kind of get an idea of what's going on with that. So this is it. This is the video I was kind of hoping to have when I started this system. I know there's a lot of really detailed step-by-step videos on each part of putting a septic system together, but there just really weren't any, hey, this is what this is going to look like in the end videos. So if you guys think like I do, I hope this helps.